The problem that I wanted to solve was that my cats were eating too fast and then they would vomit all over the floor, and also that they would make such a mess when they were eating because their tongue would just flick the wet food against the wall and against the floor. We used to feed them with a bowl, but I think they were able to take too big of a bite and that led to the vomiting. So we tried a plate to spread the food out a little bit, and that helped a lot. And then we would take the plates and put them on multiple plates so that they'd have to walk across the room. But we quickly realized that there was no shroud or guard to keep the food off the floor and off the walls. So then we tried putting something around it, like aluminum foil, as a shield. And that worked really, really well, but it didn't cover enough of the plate, and it got gross, and you couldn't really clean it. So once we saw that the higher walls on the dish were working, the next step was to find something that had the walls, which led to going to the Goodwill and finding some pots. And these are all 2-quart pots for the most part, and they work really well for the size. And so then we just had to cut out the access hole, and getting rid of the handle side made the most sense. And it seemed like cutting the pot into thirds worked out well. So I marked off thirds and then removed the 1/3 that was around the handle section. One of my pots is aluminum and the other 3 were stainless steel. And to cut stainless steel, Google says you have to use a carbide tipped saw, so I bought a set of hole saws, but this isn't really necessary. You could just cut these corners, make them square it off. These are concrete nails, so they're harder and they don't bend as easily. I'm tilting the drill so that I get this corner defined, and I don't care about this side because it's all going to come off as one big piece, like this last one did. Seems like there'd be a use for this, but I haven't figured it out yet. The blade on the angle grinder is a cutoff blade, which is thinner than a grinding blade. The benchtop grinder did a great job, but it couldn't get into the nooks and crannies and around the edges, so the next best thing I had was a grinding stone that was for a lawnmower blade that I never use. I did try using a metal hand file, and it was just awkward and didn't do a good job. I don't do a lot of projects with metal or cutting metal or welding, so I've never used sanding paper to smooth or deburr metal parts before, but I was really surprised how well it worked. I made this first pot about 2 months ago as a test, and the cats took to it right away. And then I finally finished up the other 3 this week. And so far, so good. Floor's clean, walls are clean, cats are happy, no vomiting. So I think I've solved both the problems that I set out to fix. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. That way more people can find it, and maybe more people can make this and solve the same problem I had. Thanks for taking the time to watch.